Yo, what's going on, guys? I'm Jay Cartere, and in this video, I'm going to be reviewing House of Cards Season 4, Episode 10. Now, I just watched this episode, and it was sick. There was loads of backhand maneuvering, and the discussion between, the debate. Is it a debate? I don't know. The negotiations between Kathy and Frank were phenomenal. Like, it was mind blowing, and it was really interesting, and a lot of things did happen that might have ramifications in the future. So yeah, all in all, it was a pretty good episode. We're definitely getting to the end of the season, and you can tell because they're bringing out like the big hitters right about now. But let's get into the spoiler section of the review, and we'll go over the major plot points in the episode. So first of all, we got Claire's mother. So Claire goes to see her mother, accompanied by Tom Yates. Tom bonds with Claire's mother, and Claire's mum tells her that Tom would be good for her. And then Claire refuses to euthanize her sick mum, who tells her that her death would help Claire win the election, which is true, but it's a bit of a wild thing to do, to kill your mum to win the election. It's a bit mad, but I guess she's gonna die anyways. But then she asked her to do it. Well, Claire's mum asked her to do it for her and let her be a help to her finally. So it was a very touching moment. And then Claire gives her mother an overdose of morphine. And then Claire has sex with Tom. So that might play into the future episodes, because I don't know if Frank is cool with that. Like, Frank is cool with Claire having sex with Tom and this sort of shit. So I guess it's probably going to come out. I don't have a clue what's gonna come of that though, but I guess we'll get into the predictions later. And then the second big plot point is Frank's vice president, obviously. So Frank holds a conference on ICO. ICO are apparently closing in on the Euphrates, and he claims that this will give them an opportunity to destroy vital dams in the region. He says that he's going to Washington to plan how to stop this ICO advance. He then insinuates that Conway's statements on dealing with ICO may have accelerated their advance. So I'm thinking that might play into, an episode in the future. Like, Conway might have something to some sort of rebuttal to that remark. But this isn't really, well, when he plans this trip to Washington, it isn't really being used to discuss ICO fully. Like, he's using this to get an opportunity to meet with Kathy, because Kathy wouldn't answer his calls from before, and he needs to get her on his side in order to get his plan to work. So after that, Frank uses this situation to get a meeting with Kathy, like I just said, and she calls him out for supporting Claire. She tells him to send the votes for Claire her way, or she'll turn the convention upside down. Now, Kathy tells Frank that Jackie is telling every member of the California delegation that he took her for granted, bullied, and intimidated her. And apparently California has the largest amount of delegates at the convention, so that's not good for Frank at all. And if California votes for Heather Dunbar, then that may lead to another open convention to vote for the presidential candidate. So at this point in time, Frank is he's really pissed off. Like, it could go either way. Things aren't really going his way, and if Kathy stays like this, things will fuck up. So at this point, he's like, come on, we need to do something to get Kathy back on our side. And then Frank tries to convince Kathy that she'll stay on as Secretary of State, but she doesn't believe him because she knows he offered Baker the same position. He denies that though, and then Kathy says she may have been on his side if he had been honest with her from the beginning, which is what I said that Frank should have done. But I don't know if she would have been on his side if he was honest from the beginning. But Kathy has been there for him for like a while, and they have worked together. So I think that may have been the best decision. But let's get on to what happens next. The news about Claire dealing with the Russians blows up. Remember the deal in Brandenburg or something? Frank shows Kathy a Telegraph article about it, and then Kathy claims her endorsement of Dunbar will be a bigger story, to which Frank replies that the best story of all is that Claire's mother just died. When he said this, I was fucking laughing. Like, the way he just says the cruelest, wildest things with such a straight face, and he's just so ruthless with it. It's just, it just makes me laugh. But Kathy still doesn't back down at this point. And Frank then tells Kathy about his hallucinations of Peter Russo and Zoe Barnes. And when he was saying this, I was like, oh my God, where is this going, Frank? What are you doing? You can't be saying this sort of shit. You've got to keep this to yourself. And then he admits that Lucas's allegations are true. He tells Kathy that he killed them both, and then he threatens her. And then I was like, oh my God, what is he gonna, is he really gonna stab her right about now? And then it was like tense for a moment. And then he started laughing at, like, he laughed it off, and then he said he didn't kill anybody, but he would have if it was necessary. And I think Kathy got the message, because after that, Kathy backs down from the race and supports Claire instead. And then Claire gives her was it her acceptance speech? No, I guess it was just a speech. She gave her a speech, but it was very heartfelt. It was about, like, her mum dying and Frank being on the brink of death and her loving him and all that sort of shit. And then, her and Frank are nominated to be the party's candidates for vice president and president. So Frank got what he wanted. Claire is on the ticket for vice president right about now. But will this make Kathy sour? I really hope not, but I guess that will be one of our questions for later, because I forgot to write down the question. So, we'll just wing it. The next plot point is Doug. Leanne confronts Doug, basically. She tells him that she found out that Seth has been digging up dirt on her from former clients. And then Doug denies that he sent Seth after her, and she tells him that they need to get past this shit and be a team so that they can win the election. And I'm thinking Doug needs to get past this shit, and I agree with Leanne. And then Seth admits that he told Leanne everything, and then Seth tells Doug that he's worried about him. So maybe Seth is going to be keeping an eye on Doug in the future to stop him from doing anything that will fuck up the campaign, which I hope he does, because as you can see with, like, my next piece of information, Doug does do some shit that might fuck up the campaign. Doug donates $5,000 to the Dead Man's Memorial Fund. If you remember, I don't even remember what episode it was, but there was a guy above Frank on the liver donor list or something, and then Doug got Frank moved up, and then the guy that was first, he died, and now Doug kept on going to this guy's memorial page, like the website, and he's staring at his wife and shit like that. And now he just donated £5,000 or $5,000 to the memorial fund, which leaves a trail. And it's a really dumb thing to do if you've committed a fucking crime in the first place. Don't do anything connected to that crime. But I still believe he's going to be stalking the wife and shit like that. But we'll see what happens. And then the last big plot point is Lucas's old boss versus Frank. So I still don't know what his name is, so we're just going to be calling him Lucas's old boss. I'm sure you understand who I'm talking about. Lucas's old boss continues his investigation into Frank. He meets with Heather Dunbar and shows her his evidence. Now, this is interesting because now Heather Dunbar knows that this guy is looking into Frank, and it seems like Heather's not going to use it for political means. She's going to, like, help this guy in order to get justice once and for all. It seems like she's really focused on justice and all that sort of shit, like the stuff that her heart was in the beginning. I think she's not really like the other politicians running for president, basically. And apparently he has evidence that shows that Frank may have met with Daniel Lanigan, which ties him to the money laundering scandal from season 2. So that's terrible. He intends to show that Frank doctored his travel records, which basically makes him look untrustworthy. Then maybe people will give more credence to Lucas's claims, and public opinion may turn against him. So I think this guy's actually going to write an article and put it out. But I don't know if Frank is going to try and finesse the situation and get it taken down or what. Like, it's really, really wild right about now. And after that, Dunbar tells Lucas's old boss to look into Remy Danton. And you know that Remy Danton has no good feelings for Frank. Like, he fucking hates Frank. So I don't know what Remy's gonna do though, because Remy doesn't want to allow Jackie's campaign to be destroyed or whatever through the pictures of him and her being together. So he might stay loyal to the Underwoods, but I also know that he really hates Frank, so he might flip and give them what they want. So I guess my questions are, what do you think Remy will do? Do you think Remy's going to give Lucas's old boss information or not? And do you think that Doug donating £5,000 to the memorial fund is going to be traced back to him? I think it probably will. And I also think that Remy is going to stay with the Underwoods. I'm hoping that he does. Do I have another question? Can I think of another one? Let me see. Do you think Kathy is going to come back up against Frank? Do you think that's going to happen? I really hope that she doesn't. I hope that they can get along. But I don't know. I don't think she's going to... She might take this line down since she just dropped out of the race. Actually, yeah, I think she's going to be cool with it and they're just going to keep it moving. But yeah, that's basically that episode. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe if you like this video, and I'll see you guys in the next review.
It's been a cold winter and it's lasted far too long, so all this warmth I share with you.